I recently saw a post from an Egyptian who has experienced defeating the kind of oppression and brutality that we're seeing from Trump and ICE. And I think it's really important to listen to people like this because right now, because of our failed leadership, people are just angry and directionless. And so you're seeing a lot of people online, and I understand the feeling, that are saying it's time to buy weapons and get violent. It's a sentiment that you turn to when you don't have any other options. But we are not out of options. We just don't have leaders telling us what those options are. Unfortunately, we don't have the levers of power that they have to be able to do something immediate and significant, but I think we can still beat this. These leaders just keep telling us that we need to rise up, and then they don't do anything and they don't give us any specifics. So let's dig into the advice from people that have been through this before. The first thing they talk about is the fact that you cannot beat the state at their own game. There's no real way to protect ourselves digitally, and we can't match the firepower. Especially with us, we're dealing with a post Patriot Act government that's the most powerful in human history. It doesn't mean we don't try and take some measures, but we don't depend on that to win, and we don't let it be our primary strategy. They then talk about how the US and European tendency is to stay secret, to cover your faces and ditch your mobile phones. I see advice on here from people all the time saying turn off your geolocators or leave your phone at home. But we do this at our own peril. We do it because we're scared. We aren't used to this kind of thing here like they are in places like Egypt, at least not with today's technology. But when you do this, it's only the bravest and most courageous among us that end up participating. And you don't end up inspiring those people that might participate or on the edge because you're quiet and you're secret. Tyranny takes over because fear takes over and people cower. So they said in Egypt, they did the opposite. They accepted the risk of the government monitoring them and they got loud. It really is all about numbers, but in the right way, because numbers is where the protection lies. When a whole lot of people put themselves out there with their name, their face, maybe even where they live, it inspires people and it makes other people brave. And then those crowds and numbers provide the safety. But to get there, the risk is much higher. So get out there, post those videos, post those comments, attend protests, and get in the front lines. Don't hide anonymously. Talk to your neighbors and hand out pamphlets and flyers in broad daylight. And if enough people are inspired and do this, it will build something completely overwhelming. But that means that you might lose your job. You might be arrested and you might even be killed. But unfortunately, it's the only way. If we try and conjure up some sort of armed resistance, we're definitely going to lose. We won't have enough support and we can't match the firepower. But if we give people courage with our boldness and openness, then we can end this. Because there's millions of us, and we have to make these horrible murders worth something. We cannot let these heroes get written out of history like we've seen in places like China. So get loud and take some risks, and that will keep all of us safer.